Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm filming with a palette that I couldn't wait to get my hands on, and it's finally here. I think about 2 weeks went by since this launched, so I must have been like one of the very last orders before this went on pre-order because I had all the intentions to grab this right at launch, and then I remembered like 10 or 15 minutes later. Luckily it was still in stock, so I was very excited. So if you want to see swatches, an eye look, hear my first impression thoughts on the new Menagerie Indigo ink palette, then just keep watching. If you guys are new to my channel, welcome. My name is Karen Harris. I like to film tan girl friendly makeup videos here on my channel. I love new eyeshadow palettes, and oh my gosh, I have so many fun ones to play with, so highly recommend subscribing so you can keep up with my uploads. Turn on that post notification bell so you're notified every time I upload a video. And without further blabbering, let's get into it. So if you are new to Menagerie Cosmetics, they're a small indie brand and they have some of the most pigmented eyeshadow palettes I own. I've been buying from them for quite a few years now, and I totally didn't see this palette coming. So I was very excited when they started teasing it, and I was like, oh my gosh, are they redoing the Violet Ink palette? What is this Indigo situation? And so when they announced that they were launching a new palette, I was really excited because at the start of the year, they did launch a collaboration palette with Annette's Makeup Corner. I will try and remember to link that video for you guys. Otherwise, you can check my Menagerie Cosmetics playlist because I've pretty much owned all of their eyeshadow palettes and have videos on them. If not, shame on me. Just kidding. But anyway, I really want to swatch this palette, so let's go ahead and do that. And then they were so kind and they sent me the two lippies. I didn't order these with my palette, so I'm pretty sure they threw these in to my order. Two really beautiful blue shade liquid lipsticks, and Menagerie does have a lot of liquid lipstick shades. Some are more neutral, some reds, and then they have some fun colors too. So if you're into kind of those editorial colors, I would highly recommend checking out their website if you're looking for some fun colors. This is what the packaging for the palette looks like. So it's a little bit different from the palette packaging, and then it says on the back here that it is talc-free, cruelty-free, and vegan, distributed and manufactured in Washington. The net weight is 0.24 grams, and that's that on the packaging. So here is what the outside palette looks like. Menagerie always does these beautiful covers with art, and they always credit the artist. So there's the credit for the artist that drew this image, and it says it has a 12-month shelf life here on the back. So it does come with a plastic cover, and then there is a mirror, and then here are the shades. So it's an interesting color story. I'm so glad I got to see it in person because I don't know, it's definitely very different. I know I'm excited for the metallics. I'm a little bit scared for the mattes. There's like some bright pops of color, and then there's the shade like Tide Pool and Small Spaces. So I'm very curious to see how those are gonna swatch, but let's go ahead and dip in because I haven't swatched this yet. I think I saw a few of my friends have posted videos on this palette, but I don't know if I've watched any because I'd like to have my own ideas formed when I'm doing videos. But yeah, I'm just very curious. There's a lot of pretty duochromes in this palette, so we'll see how the swatches go here. Okay, so the thing about the Menagerie formula is it's very pigmented. I think it's like a pressed pigment type formula, so it does kind of stain, and I feel like that's like universally known, but in case you didn't just know that. And so if you have sensitive eyes, it might stain your lids. I usually don't have a problem if I use an eyeshadow primer and I do like a double, triple cleanse, I'm okay. So I just wanted to mention that, but I did swatch the entire palette. So here are the shades, and there's definitely some light matte shades and then more grungy kind of metallic. So I'm very curious to see how it'll all pair together. And there are 6 mattes and 6 shimmers in the palette. So starting with that first shade, which is like a beautiful duochrome yellow orange shade, it's called Shell Yeah. Then we have Small Spaces, which is like a minty gray color. We have Giant Pacific Ink Blot, Nori, which is a pretty chartreuse matte. Squid Pro Quo is such a beautiful like golden brown shade. And then we have Tide Pool, we have Pygmy, we have Ink Floyd, which is a really pretty coral shade. And then we have a shade called Chromatophore, Ink Defense, and then Inky Torpedo are the shade names. So it's definitely like a blue-green palette and then some pops of coral and red. This is definitely a different color story for me, so we'll see. I'm curious about the look I can create with this palette. So sometimes when I'm dealing with lighter mattes, it can be hard to get things to pop on my skin tone. So I did use the white eyeshadow primer, or like the lightest eyeshadow primer from Juvia's Place. This is shade number 1. So we'll see if that makes a difference, because usually I use the shade number 2, but I wanted to give these eyeshadows the best background to grab onto. So I really want to use Nori and Ink Floyd, which is the chartreuse and the orange shade. Okay, I'm going to go into Ink Floyd first, which is the coral shade. Hear sounds. Teddy's in here. Rail's outside. It's Saturday at my house, so everybody's doing stuff. We are still putting things away. Our upstairs is mostly done, but our downstairs, we have like not as many closets as we did in our old house, so we have to be like more strategic about where we put things. And so we got some like rolling shelves at Costco, like storage shelves, so Ro's putting those together for me. Oh, this color is so pretty. It's such a true like hot coral shade. And I feel like with eyeshadows, that's such a hard color to perfect, because usually it can look really, I don't know, just not the right shade of coral. You know, it'll either look orange or it'll look red. Ooh, this is so fun. Okay, so now I'm trying to think if I want to put any other colors in my crease, because I really like this color, and I didn't end up putting Nori in my crease like I planned. I think I might do Pygmy, which is that like red shade, this one right here, and I'm just gonna tuck that into the outer corner. So maybe you can't see, but there is a slight difference between the Ink Floyd shade and Pygmy. See, once I put the red shade on, like I can see there's a difference in the colors in the camera, but when I look in my mirror, it looks like I didn't even do anything. So that's kind of interesting because I don't see a contrast. Maybe I'll go into Ink Blot, which is the like navy, and I'm just gonna tuck a little bit of that in here too, just to give it a little bit of depth. So the day I'm filming this, I posted my empty house tour. In case you guys didn't catch that, please go ahead and check it out, because it's kind of a different video for me, and I definitely have a new appreciation for people that do vlogs, because oh my gosh, trying to film your life when there's like truly like huge things happening, like moving and unpacking and just like homes being purchased, like I don't know how people keep up with vlogging, because it's like you want to be in the moment. So I'm like blown away by how much effort people must put into vlogging their lives, because it's definitely not like something you can do without planning. I think you want to plan if you're gonna vlog big stuff like that, and I just couldn't imagine trying to vlog our move with all the things we had going on and packing and cleaning, and it was wild, but I'm glad it's over now. But even the same thing for like the baby, because like I'm like, oh my gosh, am I gonna need like, you know, you see all these like beautiful pictures of when babies are born and people have like the matching robes and the matching swaddles, and I'm like, do I really need that, or is that like what social media tells me that I need? I don't know, but we'll see. I haven't bought any like specific outfits yet for photos, but I know like the hospital we're going to, they do provide like a photographer if we wanted to do pictures. So I'm like, what do we wear? Anyways, I'm trying to think of what shade to throw on my lids. Like I said, there's some beautiful duochromes in this palette. Ink Defense looks so pretty. It's like a purpley green shade. But I also really like the look of Shell Yeah. I feel like that would have gone really well with the coral. Maybe I'll try Shell Yeah. Maybe I'll do something a little bit warmer. Try to get out of my comfort zone because the purple is like calling to me, but this Shell Yeah shade is so cool. Give it a little spray. Shade's kind of acting like it's a topper versus a metallic, so I'm trying to dig into it with my brush. Okay, so I'm pretty much done with the upper portion of my eyes. I'll do the rest of my face off camera. I'll be right back to try out one of the lippies, do swatches of the lippies, and tell you guys some of my thoughts on this new launch. Okay guys, so I'm almost done with this makeup look. I decided that I should come on here and apply some blush with my Menagerie Cosmetics Arthurian blush palette. If you haven't seen this, this is their blush palette that they launched, I think last year, but they also now sell these as individuals. So cute. They also sneak peek something in this packaging. If I can find it, I'll put it up for you guys to see. Oh my gosh, I have a feeling it's maybe highlighters, or I'm hoping it's highlighters, but the packaging is so stunning. Anyway, I was trying to decide off camera what shade I wanted to put on my cheeks today, and I think I'm gonna go neutral because my lipstick's gonna be blue. So I'm gonna go into the shade Persimmon, which is like a pretty nude, and I know these blushes are very pigmented, so I'm gonna try and go in with a light hand, but I feel like I already failed at that. Oh well. Oh my goodness. Ooh. So in case you haven't seen the Arthurian blush palette, I did want to show you guys that. And then Shop My Stash, we've got the Danny highlighter from Alien Cosmetics. I've been using this all week. Okay, so we have the two lippies here. So I have the shade Lagoon and High Tide. So let's swatch them on my hand and see. Oh my gosh, that is so pretty. It's like a teal shade, Lagoon, and then the other shade's more like a blue. Ooh, these are so pretty and pigmented. How cool is that? Oh my gosh, which one should I do? I feel like this one's gonna make my teeth look really yellow, but you know what? Let's do it for science. I don't think I've owned a color like this before, so I feel like a cartoon character. But I did a very thin layer, and I'm gonna let it dry down, and while it dries down, I'm gonna put mascara on, and I'll be right back to talk to you guys about this collection. Okay guys, mascara is on and I am back. I will say that this collection is definitely one of the more challenging collections for me. This lip I cannot take myself seriously with. I am planning on filming my September haul video after this, and I'm like, I think I need to change this lip color, but I know there are some very brave people out there that can pull these lip shades off, and I just think these are so beautiful. I love the idea of doing something like this, and I mean, for me sitting in my makeup room, like, it doesn't bother me, but I don't really know if this is flattering, so you guys will have to tell me in the comments what you really think. Don't mind if you are honest with me, because I am feeling very, very uncomfortable with this blue lip. It's definitely different for me. So here I am being very, very candid with you guys as far as the eyeshadow palette goes. I do feel like the mattes kind of remind me of a different formula from the Serenity palette as well as the Flight Club palette. So I do need to play with this palette some more because I can't decide if it's that formula that I've been loving from Menagerie or the formula from other palettes that I love a little less than the one from Serenity and Flight Club. So I'll have to keep you posted on that. The metallics are beautiful to me, very honestly. Like, I love colorful makeup and I love to play with makeup, but this color story is a bit of a challenge. It's very different. I feel like the metallics are gorgeous, but the mattes that they paired with it aren't like my favorites. I feel like I would have picked a little bit different, but that's just my opinion. So take it for what you will. I just feel like if you're a first timer or you're just getting into makeup, this might not be the direction I would steer you in. I would probably start with like a Flight Club or their Killer Purr palette, which is like mostly neutrals. So I do have their palettes. I just wanted to do like little side by sides. So this is the infamous Violet Ink palette. I believe this is discontinued. And so when they announced the Indigo palette, I thought maybe it was gonna be like a bigger version of this one, but not the case. So I'm glad that they didn't do like another duplicate purple palette, but this is the Violet Ink palette. So I think a lot of people are kind of expecting a more indigo themed palette, but these are a side-by-side comparison of the two palettes in case you guys were curious. And then I did grab all of my other 12 pan palettes from Menagerie as well. So here is the Annette's Makeup Corner palette. I think this one might be my favorite Menagerie palette. It's either this one or Flight Club, but here's what they look like next to each other. And I did purchase the Annette palette as well as the Indigo palette myself. And then here's Killer Purr with the Indigo palette. I also bought Killer Purr myself. So I'm trying to mention all the palettes I bought just so you guys know for transparency purposes. They did send me Pastel Pup, which is their pastel palette. Look at how much less saturated Pastel Pup looks next to the Indigo palette. That's kind of wild. Okay, so here's my other favorite palette from them. This is the Flight Club. So pretty and purple. And then the last palette I have from them is the Whale Song, which I did see on their Instagram is going to be discontinued, I think, this year. So if you want to pick it up, I think they're going to be restocking this palette. I really want to buy the Feral palette again because I used to own it. But then they like did some changes with the shades and there was a whole thing and I ended up getting rid of that palette. I think I might end up buying that if I'm able to. Yeah, this is the newest palette from them and I really love the shimmers. I really think there's some cool mattes in here, but I wish there was just a few other mattes that would have really, with making this palette a little less blue and a little more like a dark green would have been ideal for some of these shades. So just my thoughts. I would love to know in the comment section if you guys picked up this palette or what your thoughts are on the palette. I know some of you said you don't really see the indigo. I honestly am trying to think like what I go through when I buy a palette, and usually it's like, oh, it's a brand I like. That's an interesting color story. I like this brand's formula. I want to try out this brand, like if it's a new brand I'm curious about, and then like packaging, if it's an indie versus like a mainstream. Like I do go through like all of these things in my head. I obviously can't buy every single palette, and I do feel like for the volume of eyeshadow palettes that launch, I do try to be picky, but I definitely have some of my favorite brands that no matter what they come out with, I will end up picking something up from them, and Menagerie is definitely one of those brands for me at the moment. So I'm very excited to get a new palette from them, and I hope you found this video useful and entertaining. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Really helps me out. I will link everything on my face today in the description box, and those will most likely be affiliate links, so if you do use my links to shop, I will make a small commission and that goes right back into my channel, which really helps me out. Thank you guys so much for your support, and I will see you in my next video tomorrow. Bye guys!